Hi there. You learned in your previous lesson in science about the different changes that can cause harm to our environment and to living things. But would you believe that you can create your own practice so that you cannot contribute harm to environment and to other living organisms? Yes, of course. As a review, I'm going to show you different practices that you can imitate so that you can be part of the solution to our ever-changing world. All right. For our first practice, I want you to look at this picture and I want you to look which is the correct practice. The one that throw garbage in a bin or the one that throw elsewhere. Of course, you may say that the one that who throws in a garbage bin is the correct practice. But for one reason, why? Because throwing elsewhere simply ruins the beauty of the surrounding and eventually causes flooding. Another practice. Which is the correct practice? Imagine that you will just go to a near place and you'd like to choose between biking and taking a ride on a jeep. Remember, you just go to a near place. Yes. You can have biking because actually taking a ride using traditional public transport contributes to global warming. I have here more practices that you can imitate. Which is the correct practice? Cook using burned wood or cook using electric stove? I know both of these practices are familiar to you. You might say that you'd rather use electric stove in cooking. Why? Simply patronizing the use of burned wood is more likely tolerating the kaingin system. Have you seen this number of trees being burned? What may happen to those animals who previously resided in this forest? Use your imagination and concern. Now, which is the correct practice? Imagine we are in a warm weather and you might choose between the two. Use an air conditioning unit or use an electric fan. You might say that it depends on your own comfort, but would you believe air conditioning units contribute to the trapping of heat within the earth we call greenhouse effects? Look at this simple picture. Do you see the tin or the atmosphere that surrounds the earth? And what happened to the heat of the sun that enters the earth? Isn't it that they are being trapped? It is with the same reason that we can consider our home or the planet Earth as a sort of greenhouse that continuously warms the earth. Okay? Now, I have here a short news report. All right. Have you seen the e-jeepney in Valenzuela City? Yes, it seems that these e-jeepneys have a new color and it's like having a new transformation in its physical appearance. But what is important with having an e-jeepney in Valenzuela City? Yes, as a good practice of the local government, we have to patronize the e-jeepney as a local transport because for one good reason. It simply travels you to a place you want with pollution and noise-free environment. Okay? Now, for our viewers or audience in this lesson, our objective this morning is I want you to list or enumerate practices in preventing changes that pose harm or hazard in the environment and living organisms. Okay? Now, before we proceed, I want you to think of your own contribution or practice so that you yourself will not be part of the harm to our environment and to fellow living organisms. And as a student who usually or normally stays at home in these pandemic times, can you think of your own practice or your own little way during this pandemic season? This lesson would definitely help you. Let us proceed. Our lesson is to have practices in preventing changes that pose harm or hazard in the environment and living organisms. Now, let me share you the first practice. Are you fond of eating vegetables or fruits? Now, I suggest that you can save the fruit and vegetable peels. Why? Because they can be used as part of the compost. Would you believe that those plants grown in the compost tend to have more produce or more fruits? Now you have an idea or reason to save those fruit and vegetable peels. Practice number 2. Minimize the use of electrical appliance. Probably, you have learned in EPP 5 that during ironing our clothes, we can set a particular temperature so that we can save energy or heat that may contribute to increasing electricity bill. Have you seen the encircled button of this iron? Yes, you can adjust the temperature using that button. And for one reason, as I said, this lessens the amount of electricity being paid. Let's move on to more practices. I hope, or I do believe that everyone is very much familiar with this. But let me suggest that you need to reduce the time you spend for online games. Why? Because you can perform physical activities or play with friends. You have 2 benefits for this. First, it strengthens your physical capabilities. And another reason, you can gather more friends while playing with them. Practice number 4. I have shown the benefits of our e-jeepneys in the city. But without having a ride on this new vehicle, you can tell someone about our new way or new mode to travel around the city. But once we are free of this pandemic, try the jeepney. As the local government said, Valenzuelanos, go electric. Simply, e-jeepney uses electricity that makes it free from noise and pollution. Now, last practice that I can share to you is, just imagine, to visit the city's solar panels. I am familiar with 2 barangays in Valenzuela where solar panels are specifically installed. Are you familiar with Barangay Coloong and Barangay Isla? Yes, these 2 barangays of the cities have their own solar panels. But what are the benefits of these solar panels? We already have solar panels that generate electricity from sunlight. Would you believe that Isla Elementary School in daytime benefits from these solar panels? Yes, that is one of the pollution-free benefits of the solar panel. Now, I think you are now processing or thinking your own practice that you can contribute to our environment and to fellow living organisms. But for now, I'm going to show you a short video, and I want you to think the best practice the student or the girl here shows. Short but simple. Can you think of the best or the good practice that can be found on this video? Yes, the girl or she switches off the light when she leaves the bathroom. This is quite simple, but would you believe that you can help your parents to lessen the electricity consumption so that you have lesser bill that being paid for electricity? I'm sure you can have this practice at home. Now, as an activity, I'm going to show you a video where this video is divided into 3 scenes, and I want you to note down the best practices or the 3 best practices that can be found on this video. And as a preparation, I want you to have your notebook with you and a pen so that you can write down the 3 best practices that can be found in these 3 scenes. Are you ready? Let's move on. This is the first scene. Instead of using dictionary on her iPad, what did she do next? Second scene. She's thinking if she will be using the spray net, but look what she did. Scene number 3, or the third scene. As a student, you normally crumple papers, but look what she is doing. All right. Now, I'm going to give you, I think, 30 seconds to write those practices that can be found on the video. All right. I'm sure that you have written these practices. On the first scene, she saves electricity. Instead of using the tablet to browse a dictionary, she preferred to use the hard copy of dictionary. Number 2, she uses hair clip instead of aerosol spray Would you believe that aerosol spray produces chlorofluorocarbon that can add warm temperature to our environment? Lastly, she collects and saves used paper. For what reason? Of course, paper can be recycled. All right, I am very much confident that you have written those practices or best practices, and I'm also hoping that you can create or imitate and create your own practices at home. Now, the main concept of our lesson is we should develop practices that would promote our own safety and of environment. Now, we think of our own safety because once we contribute our own practice, we can save, of course, the environment as well. Let's have a short quiz. Now, on your prepared notebook, I want you to number your paper from numbers 1 to 5. And then I want you to write the word true if the sentence tells about correct practice or false if not. I'll be giving you enough time to answer this short quiz. All right, now let us answer this short quiz. Okay, the correct answers are for numbers 1 to 5. Number 1, it's true. Numbers 2, 3, and 4, they are false. And number 5, it's true. I am very much confident that having this simple quiz, you have answered them correctly. Okay? Now, let me leave you a short assignment about this lesson. Now, I'm sure you have this common substance that you are using at your home, air freshener. Air freshener is a popular product known as aerosol. It has been studied that its content has lasting harmful effects on humans, and environment. Now, what are you thinking of the aerosol spray at your home? It has lasting harmful effects on humans and environment. But my challenge is, I want you to suggest natural ways on how we can remove unpleasant odor in our home or inside our vehicle. Normally, we use air freshener for these two places, our home and inside our vehicle. All right. Okay. Before I leave, I have some notes to our dear parents or guardians of our listeners. Number one, parents are advised to guide, or I advise parents to guide their child to accomplish related activities found in learning module. Number two, dear parents and guardians, feel free to ask your child's teacher regarding the follow-up activities. Number three, whenever possible, share these instructions to fellow learners who could not attend the live streaming or online classes. And lastly, so those photos that I have used, these are my photo credits or the source of photos that I wish to give credits to. First is the google.com and number two is the unsplash.com. All right, to our dear viewers, I hope you have learned a lot in this lesson. Again, this is Mr. Christian M. Soriano of Perpetua R. San Diego Elementary School from Team Agham. Remember the saying, sa Team Agham, lagi kang may alam.